Hi traders. In this video we're going to look at the turning points in the crude oil market from Friday, July 27th. And the crude oil market is turning into be a very interesting market for the use of the ZoneTraderPro order flow tools. So we're going to look at 4 or 5 turning points and how volume affected those turns. Initially we see a trade that was good for over 40 ticks, and that started at approximately 9:27 in the morning. And we see 3 of the things that I like to see when kicking off a trade. On the longer time frame chart, we see that we had high volume along with ZTP order flow, and we had extension zones being created. On the shorter time frame chart, we again see the high volume and add an extension trade along with the ZTP order flow. As you would know, the extension trade is a reversal type of trade, so that makes an excellent entry point along with the creation of these extension zones here. One of the other things that you see on this chart, which is new, is this graph down here at the bottom. And what that is doing is that is representing the average volume of this particular bar. So this particular bar had approximately 1.7 times the volume as in the average over the last 10 bars. So what this tool does is it looks at the last 10 bars and tells you if the current volume is higher or lower. Where you see the red horizontal line, that is the 1 line. So that would be equal to the average volume if it was at and only made it to the 1 line. Next, on the next bar, again you see a ZTP order flow, again with high volume, and again with the average volume indicator indicating high. One of the other things I'd like to mention is that this number up here in black, that is the delta strength indicator, and the delta strength indicator can give you 2 types of information. The fact that it turned black signifies high volume, but that's just based on a number that is in the settings. I like this average volume method down here because it takes into account times of the day where there might be less or more volume, such as on the open that we have here in the oil market. So I like this as a better indicator to show me what the volume is, and this is going to be incorporated into the indicator to show us high volume without having to look at the lower portion of the screen as you would right here. There are 2 ways to look at the delta strength indicator itself. Here we have a minus 85, which is somewhat of a low number. However, what a low number represents on a down bar that is 8 ticks wide is that there was significant buying during that bar, and these buyers are now on the wrong side of this trade. The same thing goes for this 94 year, virtually the same number. In these subsequent bars, we see the delta accelerating and basically the buyers giving up. And finally then on the low, where again we have high volume at approximately 1.5 times the average, we again see a ZTP order flow buy with a 344. The 344 is representative of only buyers taking this market up at this point. What's also interesting to note is that there was even higher volume the bar before, and the reason you don't see a delta strength indicator is because the delta strength indicator was actually positive on a down bar. It was divergent, and that didn't print. That doesn't print on the indicator. So the delta was actually a positive 348, which means there was in fact significant buying down here at the bottom until we got to the trade at the eventual low. But that trade in and of itself was good for approximately 45 ticks. Once we get to the low and bottom, you again see numerous ZTP order flow buy signals here, and probably the safest trade of all is this one right here, where we see the ZTP order flow buy at a basic reversal zone. At that point we have extension zones being created. As you can see here from the low, we have both a ZTP order flow buy and the creation of extension zones, which take us up another 50 ticks until we again get to a high volume area along with a ZTP order flow, and red extension zones start to be created. This is one of the advantages of the new indicator down here, because as you can see in relative terms to the last 10 bars, even though it was just slightly over a 1 ratio, this amount of volume was a high volume as compared to the last 10 bars. Then once again at the top, we see an exhaustion trade with high volume and red extension zones being created. At the creation of the red extension zones, along with the high volume, that would be a very good indicator to initiate a trade. This trade, however, takes approximately 20 minutes to develop after the initial ZTP order flow sell. Probably a better entry occurs in this area here, where we have multiple POC extension and absorption trades along with a ZTP order flow indicator being given. And once the trade kicks off, you can again see how high the volume is compared to previous bars. Here at 69.23, you would have a potential exit as the delta strength indicator was strong at 237 along with a ZTP order flow. However, as soon as that bar closed, a stopping ratio let out and the market continued even lower, creating additional extension zones, then again at 69.23 for the eventual bottom down here at 69.05. And here's what that intermediate bottom at 69.22 looks like. We created some initial extension zones to the buy side on the first 3 or 4 ticks, and then we started creating sell extension zones here. As the market continued to trade, the sell extension zones took over and we traded lower until the eventual low down here at 69.04. At 69.04, where you saw the second high volume node on the larger time frame chart, again we have a ZTP order flow buy along with significant absorption, which is indicated by these green boxes here, followed by a second ZTP order flow, and then the market started up. On this trade, after getting long somewhere in the 69.10 area, we take that up approximately 30 ticks to that high volume node area, where we get again a significant number on the delta strength indicator of a minus 281 on high volume. But probably the most interesting and obviously the most profitable trade of the day started to occur right around noontime and lasted for almost an hour, which took the market down approximately 120 ticks. And as you can see here, we started off again with the ZTP order flow sell on high volume and significant absorption zones being created in the 69.35. The selling accelerated and extension zones were created, creating a POC extension sell and absorption trade at 69.30. On the way down, there was one interesting ZTP order flow buy. And what makes it interesting is that you can see the extremely heavy selling going on first in the previous bar and then in this bar. And as soon as that computer stopped selling, there was only probably 20 contracts that took the market higher almost 12 ticks. And then you can see the extremely light volume on the next bar, and the bar after that is when the normal volume returns. So this to me would not have been a valid reason to have exited that trade. As we get to the low of that trade, we do see a high volume bar here with a very strong delta. However, no order flow pattern developed at this price. At the eventual low, we do see this time an ZTP order flow buy signal, and we have a few ticks later up here at 36 we have extension zones being created. Again, this happens on strong buying volume as evidenced by the delta strength. On the smaller time frame chart, this is what the chart looked like to kick off that trade. You had multiple ZTP order flow sell signals on high volume and the creation of extension zones. At the low, you again see a ZTP order flow on high volume, marking the potential exit for the trade, especially when the extension zones begin to be created at 68.32. And in case you're wondering what that exit would be, the first red extension zones were created over 30 ticks later at 68.64, again at a ZTP order flow sell signal. The other ZTP order flow sell signals that you see here, there appear to be about 5 or 6 of them. None of them occurred with the creation of a extension zone at any of those trades, marking those as questionable about whether or not you'd want to exit trade at that point. I want to thank you for watching. If you have any questions on this video, please feel free to give me a call.